We are evolving the OS. Windows is now your canvas for AI and agents. We're innovating in three key ways. First, bringing AI and agents into your flow and making it more intuitive to use. And second, making Microsoft 365 Copilot more contextually helpful on Windows.
Windows 11 was supposed to be the clean break, the fresh start, the future. But in the biggest markets on Earth,
It's not accelerating.
it's stalling.
And after Windows 10 support ended, you'd think millions would rush to upgrade.
They didn't.
The stall nobody expected. Here's the number that should scare Microsoft.
In December 2025, Windows 11 sits at about 50% of Windows desktops worldwide. And Windows 10?
Still sitting in the mid-40s. After end of support.
That is not a clean migration. That's a split user base.
And splits are where platforms start bleeding. Major markets are moving, but not together. Now watch what happens when you zoom in. In the United States, Windows 11 is already the clear majority. In Japan, it's also surged. But in Germany, it's basically a coin flip.
And in India, Windows 10 is still ahead. So when Microsoft talks about global momentum, the global picture is actually uneven.
Some markets moved fast.
Others are dragging, and that drag is the story. Why users are holding the line.
This isn't one problem.
It's four problems stacked on top of each other. Problem 1, the hardware wall. Your PC runs fine, but Windows 11 demands TPM 2.0, secure boot, and specific CPUs.
So for a huge chunk of people, upgrade doesn't mean clicking a button. It means buying hardware.
And that's when normal users check out.
Problem 2, the account pressure. More users feel like Windows is turning into a service, not software. Even the bridge option, Windows 10 Extended Security Updates, pushes people toward a Microsoft account and Microsoft services. So the people who stayed on Windows 10 to avoid lock-in feel the net tightening anyway. Problem 3, trust.
Windows 11 keeps adding features that sound powerful, but feel invasive. The perfect example is Recall. Microsoft says Recall is designed with privacy in mind.
Stored locally, not shared with Microsoft. But the fear is simple. If my screen is being saved, who else can get it?
And once people feel watched, they start shopping for exits. Problem 4, enterprises don't upgrade.
They negotiate with reality.
Hardware refresh cycles, app compatibility, training costs, help desk pain, security approvals. So yes, Windows 11 is growing, but a lot of that growth is coming from new PCs shipping with it.
Not companies excited to move.
The quiet warning sign, education plus dev mindshare.
Want to see where this goes long term? Watch education and developers.
Microsoft literally decided to end Windows 11 SE, the school-focused edition meant to fight Chromebooks. That tells you something. Schools aren't the easy win anymore. And developers, they go where the tools feel fast, stable, and unannoying. Once developers get comfortable outside Windows, the default starts to weaken. What this means for Microsoft, this is why the stall matters. Microsoft doesn't lose because Windows 11 is bad. Microsoft loses because Windows stops being the obvious choice.
A stalled migration keeps Windows 10 alive longer than planned.
It normalizes extended security updates.
It grows the market for alternatives.
And it trains users to say, I can wait. And if you're Bill Gates watching that, this is the part where you lose it.
Because Windows dominance wasn't built on being good. It was built on being inevitable. What you should do next. Pick your path. Path 1. If your PC is compatible, upgrade to Windows 11. But lock it down.
Turn off what you don't want.
Make it boring. Path 2.
If you're staying on Windows 10, use extended security updates as a bridge,
not a lifestyle.
Path 3. If you're done with the pressure, test an exit for 1 weekend.
Linux Mint,
Ubuntu, or Chrome OS Flex for simple machines. because the first time you realize your computer still works without Windows, the spell breaks. If you're still watching, drop STALL11 in the comments.
So here's a question for you. If you went out of the house for the day, would you consider putting a sign on your front door reading, "Doors unlocked, no one's home, go on in"? Of course you wouldn't do that. But that's what you are doing if you're still running Windows 10 after October 15th. The Cybersecurity Association of Pennsylvania, also known as Penn Cyber, has the following suggestions for you now. First of all, easiest, upgrade to Windows 11.
If you're still on Windows 10, you're already living in the after picture, because Windows 10 support ended on October 14th, 2025. And that's when the pressure campaign got real. Not, hey, consider upgrading. More like, upgrade, pay, or accept more risk. Now add this. Windows 11 has a hardware wall. It pushes you toward a Microsoft account. And it's shipping AI, features that make privacy people nervous. So when people call it a Windows 11 revolt, they don't mean riots. They mean something scarier for Microsoft. Quiet refusal. The hardware wall. Let's start with the biggest trigger. You've got a PC that still runs fine. It boots, it streams, it works. But when you try Windows 11, you hit a checklist that feels like a locked gate. TPM 2.0, Secure Boot, CPU compatibility lists, and the sorry your device can't message. Microsoft says it's about security, and on new machines, that makes sense. But on older machines, it turns an operating system upgrade into a hardware purchase. And Dell basically said the quiet part out loud. Around 500 million PCs can upgrade to Windows 11, but haven't. And another 500 million can't upgrade because the hardware is too old. That's a billion machines caught in the middle, which means millions of people aren't saying, I hate Windows. They're saying, I'm not buying a whole new PC just to keep doing what I already do. Windows 10 ended, but people didn't leave. Now, here's where the revolt becomes real numbers. Windows 10 support ends, but Windows 10 doesn't disappear. By December 2025, StatCounter showed Windows 11 at about 50.7%, but Windows 10 was still around 44.6%. That's not everyone upgraded. That's a massive chunk of users saying, not yet. And when millions delay an upgrade after end of support, that's not laziness, that's resistance. The Microsoft account problem. Now the next trigger is emotional. Setup. For a lot of people, this is where trust breaks. Windows 11 setup has been getting stricter about requiring an internet connection and a Microsoft account. And Microsoft has been closing popular workarounds that let users set up with a local account. From the user's perspective, it feels like, I bought the computer. Why do I need an account to use my own device? And it's not just Windows 11. Microsoft has a consumer extended security updates program for Windows 10. But to get it, Microsoft has been rolling it out through an eligibility process that ties into Microsoft services. So for the people who stayed on Windows 10 to avoid the Windows 11 ecosystem, even the bridge option starts feeling like it's shrinking. The AI feature that scared everyone. Now let's talk about the feature that turned annoyed into uneasy. Recall. Recall is designed to help you find what you did before by saving snapshots of your activity. Microsoft says recall is opt-in. Microsoft says snapshots are stored locally. Microsoft says snapshots aren't shared with Microsoft or third parties. But here's the problem. Even if Microsoft doesn't see it, people worry about who else might. A malicious app, a hacker, someone with access to your device, even a shared PC situation. And privacy-first companies reacted. Brave, for example, announced it would block Microsoft Recall by default in its browser. So the story people share becomes simple. Windows is taking screenshots of what you do. Even if the reality is more nuanced, the fear spreads faster than nuance. Enterprises don't riot, they delay. Now here's what really matters for Microsoft. Consumers complain loud,
but enterprises move slow. If you manage thousands of machines,
Windows 11 isn't a vibe, it's a cost model.
hardware refresh,
App compatibility, training,
help desk load, security requirements. After Windows 10 end of support, businesses basically have 3 paths. 1. Pay for extended security updates while they plan. 2. Upgrade to Windows 11 on a schedule.
3. Quietly move some workflows away from Windows entirely. And that last one is the real abandonment. Not everyone,
Not overnight.
but chunks. Developers on Mac,
Call centers on browser-first systems.
back office on web apps, some teams on Linux. Windows doesn't die, but it stops being the default for everyone. The warning sign: developers. And if you want to see the future,
Watch developers.
Stack Overflow's 2025 developer survey shows Windows is still the top operating system for professional use. But macOS is right there, and Linux options stack up hard.
That's not Windows collapsing.
That's Windows losing mindshare.
And once mindshare cracks,
Switching becomes normal. So is Windows 11 really dying? Number: Windows 11 is growing. It's the biggest Windows version by share. But the backlash is real because Microsoft is doing 2 things at the same time: a hardware reset,
and tighter ecosystem lock-in.
and people hate feeling trapped. So the Windows 11 revolt shows up like this. Millions stayed on Windows 10 even after support ended.
A flood of people searching for bypasses and workarounds, and rising interest in alternatives from people who never used them before.
What you should do next: 3 paths. Here's the smart move. Pick your path.
Path 1.
Your PC is compatible. Upgrade to Windows 11. But lock it down.
Turn off what you don't want.
Treat it like a tool, not a lifestyle. Path 2. Your PC can't upgrade.
Use extended security updates as a short bridge or budget for a new machine. But understand it's a bridge, not a home. Path 3.
You're done with the drama. Test and exit for 1 weekend. Linux Mint. Ubuntu.
Chrome OS Flex.
Because the first time you realize
Your computer still works without Windows? That's the moment the monopoly breaks in your head.
and that's the real threat to Microsoft.
Not a hashtag.
A quiet realization that the only option isn't the only option anymore. If you're still watching, drop WIN11REVOLT in the comments.